Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something powerful. The world just witnessed a meeting in Alaska that has shaken the foundations of global politics. It wasn't just about negotiations. It wasn't just about diplomacy. No, it was about strength, pride, and the refusal to bow down. It was about showing the world that power is no longer defined by one single nation. It was the moment when the balance of the globe shifted, and the eyes of billions turned to see who would stand tall, who would command respect, and who would rise to seize the future. This meeting was more than words. It was fire. It was a reminder that the old order is crumbling, and new giants are stepping forward. And right in the middle of this global earthquake, India's power was not just noticed, it was magnified. India stood taller, prouder, more confident, because in a world of shifting alliances, in a world where nations are clashing, India has shown resilience, independence, and unstoppable growth. India's rise is not an accident. It is the result of courage, strategy, and determination. Think about it. For decades, nations tried to dictate terms, to control the narrative, to make others play by their rules. But the Alaska meeting revealed something incredible. The rules are changing. No longer can one nation dictate terms to all. No longer can the world ignore the voice of emerging powers. And India's voice, loud, confident, and unbreakable, is echoing across the globe. This is not just about politics. This is about mindset. This is about strength. This is about refusing to be second, refusing to be weak, refusing to let someone else write your destiny. And that, my friends, is the lesson we must all take from this. The Alaska meeting sent a shockwave through the world, but it also lit a fire under India's journey. That fire is the same fire that burns in every man and woman who dares to dream big, who refuses to quit, who looks at obstacles and says, I will break through. Look at where India stands today, building alliances, forging partnerships, commanding respect, not begging for it. That is real power. That is strength. And that is what every one of you can learn from. In your own life, in your own battles, you must not let others set your limits. You must not let others decide how far you can go. You must rise, you must fight, you must show the world that you cannot be ignored. Because here is the truth. Power is not given, it is earned. Respect is not gifted, it is demanded. And the Alaska meeting proved that the time of weakness is over. The time of fear is over. The time of strength has arrived. So I challenge you today, stop thinking small. Stop doubting yourself. Stop waiting for someone else to hand you opportunity. Stand tall, build your strength, and seize your destiny. Just as nations rise by courage and resilience, you too can rise in your own life. When the Alaska meeting shook the world, it sent a message far beyond politics, far beyond the negotiations, and far beyond international relations. It reminded everyone that strength is never a gift, it is never handed to you wrapped in a box. Strength must be seized, carved out, demanded with the fire of determination. Nations do not rise by asking politely, by waiting their turn, or by seeking approval. They rise by declaring their independence of thought, by standing tall in the face of pressure, and by making it clear that no one will dictate their future. And that is exactly what this meeting revealed. The era of blind obedience is over. The era of courage has begun. Look at the journey of India in this context. For decades, the world saw India as a developing nation, as a follower rather than a leader. But today, the Alaska meeting made it obvious. India cannot be ignored anymore. It has grown into an undeniable force, a nation that demands respect and earns it through hard work, strategy, and a vision that extends far beyond borders. And that is what each one of us must learn. Respect is not something you wait for, it is something you command through courage. If you want the world to recognize your value, you cannot sit back and hope someone notices. You have to step into the arena, show your strength, and leave no doubt about your worth. The Alaska meeting was not about smiles and handshakes. It was about confrontation, about standing firm when others tried to bend you. And isn't that life itself? Every one of us faces moments where someone or something tries to bend us, to make us submit, to make us feel small. Maybe it's a boss who underestimates you. Maybe it's a competitor who mocks you. Maybe it's society telling you that you can't achieve something because you weren't born into privilege. But in that moment, you have a choice. You can either accept it, or you can rise with courage and declare, no, I will not be ignored. I will not be broken. I will not be told what my limits are. That is the kind of mindset that turns ordinary people into legends and nations into superpowers. Think of strength as a muscle. If you wait for someone to build it for you, you will remain weak forever. But if you work at it every single day, if you push when it hurts, if you refuse to give in when it feels impossible, your strength will become undeniable. India's growth was not overnight. It was decades of sacrifice, decades of building, decades of standing tall despite challenges. And the Alaska meeting highlighted exactly that resilience. It showed the world that the age of dominance by a single power is gone. Because courage has created a multipolar world where respect cannot be forced, it must be earned. In your life, you must adopt the same principle. No one is going to hand you your dream. No one is going to invite you to greatness. You must fight for it, bleed for it, and demand it with everything inside you. That is why strength must be taken, not given. If you want to succeed, you have to stop waiting for permission. You have to stop waiting for the perfect time. You have to stop letting fear whisper in your ear. Instead, you must step forward, unafraid of failure, unafraid of rejection, unafraid of the obstacles in your way. Because courage is the only currency that buys respect. The Alaska meeting shook the world. Because it was not about words. It was about energy, about presence, about refusing to kneel. And if you carry that same energy into your life, if you stop accepting what others dictate, and if you begin demanding what you deserve, then you too will find your power rising, your influence growing, and your destiny changing forever. The Alaska meeting was a global stage where power was tested, respect was demanded, and the world was forced to pay attention. It was not about agreements written on paper, but about the posture, the tone, and the willpower of those sitting at the table. The lesson here is simple but life-changing. Respect does not come from asking, it does not come from compromise, and it does not come from weakness. Respect is earned the moment you decide that you will not bow down, that you will not let anyone define your worth, and that you will stand your ground no matter who is sitting across from you. In life, this is the lesson every individual must embrace. People around you, your colleagues, competitors, even society, will always try to test you. They will see how far they can push you, how easily you will bend, how quickly you will give in when things get tough. If you bow down once, they will push harder the next time. If you stay quiet when you are disrespected, they will assume you accept being overlooked. But the moment you stand tall, the moment you draw the line and say, no, this is who I am and this is where I stand, everything changes. Respect floods in because people recognize strength, they recognize conviction, they recognize when someone refuses to be broken. Think about history. Every leader, every nation, every great figure who earned respect did so not by bowing down, but by standing up. Respect does not come cheap. It is earned in the fire of confrontation, in the struggle of resistance, and in the courage of saying no to what others demand of you. That is why the Alaska meeting was so symbolic. It reminded the world that respect belongs to those who have the spine to stand tall, not to those who whisper from the shadows. And here is where the challenge comes into your life. Every single day you will be tested. Maybe it's at work when someone tries to take credit for your effort. Maybe it's in your family when someone doubts your dream. Maybe it's in your own mind when fear whispers that you are not enough. And in each of those moments, the decision is yours. Do you bow down or do you hold your head high? Do you let others write your story or do you pick up the pen yourself? The answer to that question determines whether you live respected or forgotten. India today is respected not because it asked for recognition, but because it demanded it. It showed resilience in the face of pressure, it stood firm when told to bend, and it reminded the world that no one can ignore a nation that refuses to be silent. And that same principle applies to you. You do not earn respect by being loud, you do not earn it by being arrogant, you earn it by being unshakable, by showing consistency, by showing strength, by never allowing anyone to reduce your value. The Alaska meeting is a reminder that respect is not handed out like a gift. It is taken through unbreakable will. When you carry that lesson into your life, when you stop bowing down to fear, to doubt, to other people's opinions, then you too will discover that the world has no choice but to respect you. When the Alaska meeting captured the world's attention, it wasn't just because of the fiery exchanges or the confrontational tone. It was because it revealed something far more powerful. The nations that hold true influence are the ones that rely on themselves, the ones that stand strong without leaning on anyone else. That is why India's presence and growing role in the global stage stood out so boldly. It is building its future, not by depending on handouts, not by waiting for approval, but by forging its own path with independence and relentless determination. This is a principle that applies to every single one of us. If you want to be powerful, you cannot live in the shadow of others. You cannot wait for someone to rescue you. You cannot keep looking for shortcuts. And you cannot build your foundation on the strength of someone else. Think about it. When you depend on others, you give them control over you. If they support you, you move forward. But if they withdraw, you fall apart. That is weakness. That is chains disguised as help. But when you invest in yourself, when you build your own strength, when you rely on your own will and effort, you become unstoppable. No one can pull the ground from under you because you laid the foundation yourself. That is independence. That is freedom. That is power. Look at the Alaska meeting and what it revealed. The nations that command respect are the ones who bring something of their own to the table. They don't come begging. They don't come hoping. They come prepared, confident, self-reliant. That is the standard you must set for yourself. The Alaska meeting shook the world because it exposed this truth. Those who rely on themselves will always rise higher than those who beg for help. And if you carry that mindset into your life, if you choose self-reliance over dependency and independence over weakness, then nothing in this world can stop you from becoming powerful beyond imagination. The Alaska meeting did not unfold as a quiet conversation or a calm exchange of ideas. It was tense, it was challenging, it was filled with confrontation. And that is exactly why it captured the world's attention. Because it revealed something powerful. In every challenge, in every conflict, there is an opportunity to prove strength. This is the reason India's position on the global stage became more powerful after the meeting. Instead of hiding from confrontation, instead of fearing tension, India used the moment to stand taller, to showcase resilience, and to earn more respect. That is the lesson the world needs to understand. Challenges are not setbacks. They are stages where your strength is tested, and if you rise, they become your breakthrough. Every person faces moments like this in life. Maybe it's the challenge of financial struggles, maybe it's health, maybe it's being underestimated or ignored. Whatever the challenge is, the natural instinct is to avoid it, to run from it, to hope it disappears. But the truth is, challenges are not walls designed to stop you. They are doors waiting to be pushed open. They are the tests that separate those who only dream from those who actually achieve. The Alaska meeting became that kind of test for nations. And just like India showed, you must also use your challenges as platforms to display your courage. Think about your own journey. When you fail, when you face rejection, when you are put in situations where nothing seems to go right, that is not the end. That is your Alaska moment. That is the stage where the world, or at least the people around you, are watching to see what you will do. Will you bow down to defeat, or will you rise and show that nothing can break you? Because every challenge, no matter how painful, carries inside it an opportunity to transform your life. But only if you face it head on. India's power today did not come from comfort. It came from hardship. It came from decades of struggle, from challenges that could have broken the nation, but instead built it stronger. And that is exactly how greatness is created. Not in the easy times, but in the storms. When the Alaska meeting sent shockwaves across the world, it was proof that confrontation, though uncomfortable, is necessary. It is in the face of challenges that respect is earned and strength is proven. In your own life, you cannot pray for an easy road and expect to become strong. Muscles do not grow without resistance. Diamonds are not formed without pressure. Warriors are not created without battle. If you want to be respected, if you want to achieve greatness, you must embrace challenges as your training ground. You must see them not as punishments, but as opportunities. Every time life pushes against you, it is asking you one question: how badly do you want it? And your answer is not in words, it is in action. Your refusal to quit, your determination to rise, your ability to stay unbreakable when others expect you to collapse. The Alaska meeting was a challenge for every nation present. Some saw it as a threat, some saw it as confrontation. But India proved that in challenges lies opportunity, and this is the mindset you must carry. Stop fearing difficulty. Start using it. Stop running from obstacles. Start attacking them. Stop seeing challenges as reasons to quit. Start seeing them as reasons to grow stronger. Because every challenge is your moment to show the world who you really are. And in that moment, if you rise, nothing will ever be able to hold you back again.